people watching the coverage, you hear a lot about, and you mentioned it, the community aspect. Talk about just, what that means to you guys and sort of, the driving force of that behind everything you've been doing.
It was pretty amazing to see. I mean, as tragic as everything was, but most people would say the coolest thing, the most beautiful thing that happened out of all of this is just to see how fast the community kind of just stood up and just, no one is even thinking about anything. They're just doing.
Welcome into the Independent Thinking Podcast. This is your host, Rob Stott. We were humbled and honored recently to have a couple members of the Nationwide Marketing Group team down in Kahului, Hawaii, on the island of Maui for a packing event, a meal packing and a supply kit packing event supported by No Child Hungry, but for the Hamai Appliance team, a member of Nationwide Marketing Group. As you know, if you've been following the news and seeing what's been going on in Hawaii, obviously the wildfires that have since, been contained and brought under control, but a lot of devastation down there in Hawaii. And of course, we have, as a nationwide marketing group of independent retailers, coast to coast, and in all 50 states, Hawaii being one of them, some members down there that were impacted by the events and what took place. And to see that community come together. I mean, we talk about local communities all the time, but down there in those islands, it is, community is the word. They live there, they work there, and to see them come together and respond the way they have is just inspiring. And the team at Hamai Appliance, a big part of some of those give back efforts that are going on, and honored this week to have Bryant Hamai, president of Hamai Appliance, on the podcast to talk about, business. Of course, we want to dive into learning about what life is like, on the islands and trying to run an independent retail business there in Hawaii, but also, how things have been since the wildfires and, what they've been doing to not only, get the business, going and keep it going, but to give back again to that community of people that are there with them, their neighbors, their friends and family, and just try to lift them up as they continue to go through what they're going through. So that's what we got here. Bryant coming on to talk about everything that they've been doing, and just a humbling conversation for this podcaster. So one that I'm excited to be able to share with you and give you kind of a glimpse of what's going on down there in Hawaii. So this is Bryant Hamai of Hamai Appliance here on the Independent Thinking Podcast. All right, we are back on the Independent Thinking Podcast, and real pleased today. We got an awesome one on tap, and just to have you guys on, Mr. Bryant Hamai out there and representing Hamai Appliance, president of Hamai Appliance in Kahului, Hawaii, on the island of Maui. Appreciate you. I'm sitting here. It's the afternoon. You're like 6 hours back. Is that right?
Yeah, we're about 6 hours. So it's 9 o'clock. It's my day is just starting, and I know your day is almost
about ending. No, I used to be on the other end of the spectrum. Previous stop for me, I was working with a bunch of German companies. So like it was 9 a.m. here. It's exact 6 hours the other way. So they're in. It's like bedtime for them right now.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a challenge, for us, especially we go to prime time, and sometimes there's quite a bit of a difference, and there's early morning meetings. So in my head, it's usually I'm starting maybe 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, Hawaii time when I'm there.
Yeah.
But, so it's always fun.
Do you do the like the red eyes to get it? How do you get adjusted? Do you do red eyes and then try to like power through it, or what's the thing?
Yeah, I don't do good with red eyes, but
I don't know who does.
That just seems to be the route that works the most convenient, so I don't waste the day. But that first day I'm always struggling, and I'm sipping on coffee throughout the meetings and trying to stay awake, and yeah, so it's always fun.
No, that's awesome. Well, hey, I appreciate you having the time and coming on, and look forward to diving into this. A lot to talk about today, but just first of all, appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Nice being here.
Yeah. So share a little bit about your background and path into the retail business. I was putzing around the Hamai Appliance website. You guys got an awesome story. 1969 was when the business was founded, right? So a storied history, but tell us about your path into the family business.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you said, our store started in 1969. So even as a child, myself, a lot of my family members, our cousins, we've always been around the store. We've always been, semi-involved, not really in the daily operations, but from time to time. And, we pop in here, try to help out when we can. But, we used to have this event called our private sale. So that was an opportunity where the young ones, myself, my cousins, would come in and we'd help out with the sales. And back then, we were pretty heavily in the electronics. We dealt a lot with Panasonic, Technics. So we had a lot of CD players, Walkman, stereos, and things like that, which we don't do anymore. But with those types of products, we would come in and they would trust us selling during the private sale. So it was always a fun event. We make it a lot of fun and take tallies about how many sales we could make and make it like a small competition between the cousins. And from what I remember, I think I would usually come out the highest salesperson.
Makes sense for where you're at today.
Yeah. No, I was just kidding, but yeah, it was always fun. So that's how we were kind of involved in the beginning. And as we grew, we would dive a little bit more and help out with deliveries here and there. And but my move back to Maui happened in 2012. I was previously living in the Bay Area. I was in business banking and some investment banking. And my dad was kind of thinking about trying to scale back a little bit, and he was thinking about his retirement. So that's where the succession plan kind of came into play. And Nationwide did a good job about, I think, with helping with the planning of that. But it was either sell the business or pass it on. And that's something that we definitely did not want that to happen. So we wanted to try our best to continue the business and going on. So right now it's myself and my cousin Kelly are running the store right now.
Oh, that's awesome. I love asking this of, multi-generation owners. We obviously run into a lot of them at Nationwide. And, is it something, did you have a feeling, obviously you spent time away from the island, but like, did you have a feeling you'd be back in the business, or was there ever, was it a calling, or did you feel pressure? Like what was the feeling for you, getting back into the family business?
Yeah. To be honest with you, I'm not sure if I envisioned coming back to kind of run the business. I enjoyed being in the Bay Area. Had a lot of good friends out there, and after graduating college, I kind of just stuck around there. I think in the long run, I did want to make a move back to Maui one way or another. The timing kind of just happened a little bit earlier than anticipated. I imagine more so closer towards the retirement age, coming back and settling down. But Hawaii's a great area. Maui's a safe place to raise a family. So at the time, my wife and I we made the decision that we thought it was a good move to come back here and get involved with the business, learn it, and learn from my dad, who has taught me so much over the years. And he's been doing it from pretty much from day one. So have that opportunity for me to come back and learn from my dad, that has been great.
Well, a unique opportunity. I didn't plan on asking this, but you mentioned the succession planning. That's a newer, I should say. It's always been around as kind of something that has been done here at Nationwide, but really with Mr. Bellows and kind of putting an emphasis on it. Talk about what it was like to go through that.
Well, that might be more of a question for my dad.
Yeah, fair.
He was, but I'm sure it's a complicated thing. But passing it on from one generation to another, and there's a lot of things, because my dad has always been so involved. So I think it must be difficult, to try to pass that on and accept change. I think can be different. Business now is a lot different than it was back then, I can imagine, with the new technologies and whatnot. But I'm sure there's some complications in the back end, but overall, I think for him, just having the confidence, and I feel like he was confident in myself and my cousins and the rest of my family, to teach us well as best as he could. And, we can, kind of thrive off of that and implement our new strategies and practices.
Well, from your seat too, I think the idea of being able to go through it and not, be forced into a situation like that, right? Like having to make a decision has to be comforting for you to know that was an easy easy-ish transition, I'm sure, but also knowing that he's there and can tap into him, to your point from earlier about his kind of institutional knowledge of how things have been done.
Definitely, yeah. And he never really made it a point where I felt forced. He brought it up years before I even made the decision to come back, where he asked what our thoughts were, and at that time, like I was telling you, that maybe not now. I'm not really sure, and I think he kind of felt that I wasn't interested at the moment, and to be given that opportunity later, fast forward 4 or 5 years after he made that offer, to come back and to have that opportunity to learn the business and still be able to come on in and run the company has been very grateful and very lucky, and company has been doing well, and hopefully we can continue to grow it. And
yeah. So what is when a customer walks in, what's Hamai's Appliance like today? What do they see? What's the experience like?
Well, I think a lot of it, as far as the core root of Hamai Appliance, I think that still remains. We're still a small business, still a small island. So, word of mouth travels a long way, and we've always been involved with the community. So customer service has always been a big emphasis with us. Another part is our servicing. So the repair side too has always been a very important part of our business. To me, it's our big competitive advantage over the box stores. And servicing in general is always been difficult on Maui. So for us to offer that, the brands that we sell, we feel like it needs to be serviceable. And we're always trying to put a focus on the training for the repair.
Yeah.
But as far as the business itself it goes, now it's a little bit different. Like I was telling you that, previously we were heavily in the electronics, and as that kind of phased out, we were really on GE and Maytag. And as things evolve, Sub-Zero and Wolf was one of the first luxury lines that we decided to bring in. And that was a kind of a big jump. So I was talking with my dad about that, and he was saying that it was so different than what we were normally used to selling. He's selling a $700 refrigerator, and now we're selling, probably at the time, $12,000 fridge. I'm not sure, what it was at the time. So that's a drastic shift in the business. But now we do have a lot heavier focus on the luxury side. We put in a few more luxury appliance displays with live cooking, so we can do a little bit more demonstrations, and have a little bit more focus on our relationships with contractors, property managers, and things like that. So I think that has been helpful, the change to focus a little bit more on the high end.
No, that's awesome. And you talk about kind of the shifting in-store experience too. That's, I imagine, even aside from just the products offered, just sort of how you set things up and kind of want that customer to engage when they walk in the store. That's obviously evolved as well over time.
Yeah. And with the different technologies, of course, a lot of them, the use of iPads, or now we use digital tags. So I think just there's a lot of little things operationally that have kind of changed to I guess to enhance the customer experience. Yeah.
Now, I'm intrigued, right? So I'm obviously sitting East Coast, Pennsylvania, just outside of Philly. You're on an island. So how is business are there a lot of challenges that are different that, a retailer in Pennsylvania might not have to think about that some, on the mainland, as opposed to working in Maui?
Sure.
That you do?
Yeah. Well, you have to consider we're on an island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. So I can't order something. I can't order something and get it later on this week, and then, so of course there's the freight factor, which is not only just the extended timing for our ordering, but it's also the additional cost. Cost for freight is ridiculous. And I think a lot of dealers don't realize, the cost to ship things. And, some of the vendors that we talk to, even at Nationwide, at first they'll say, "Oh yeah, well, no problem, prepaid freight, it's not a problem." And then they realize, "Oh wait, we have to ship it over to where, and it costs how much?" You say, "Okay, we'll prepay it to your freight forwarder, and then you can take care of that." So, if there's a free prepaid shipping all the way to Hawaii program that we can implement, I think that'll be beneficial to us and some of the other Hawaii dealers. We can put that in, in the notes for everybody to look at. But yeah, the freight timing. It's literally we're pre-planning about a month ahead from the time an order goes in. So a lot of it is really just kind of gauging what we need in the future. And sometimes we over order in a specific model. Sometimes we under order, but it's just a lot of planning. Yeah.
No, that's crazy. And I imagine too, that's got to impact. Well, you mentioned all the partnerships, right, with designers, home builders and stuff. they have the same issues, I imagine, getting product as well. So it's kind of, is it something everyone deals with?
Yeah, everybody in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And then, we deal with shipping delays and, I think everybody, even in the mainland, has to deal with
Right.
product delays. But with the shipping delays, there could be backups at the port, just limited containers. That's something that we're seeing right now. There's such a big influx of shipments that are coming in to help out with what recently happened in Maui with all of the
Right.
fires, that there's limited chassis, limited drivers, limited containers. So on top of our waiting for 4 weeks for our products, it's stuck at the docks and we can't even get it here when it's only like a mile away.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
But so what, I mean, other business challenges that are they, what a retailer would expect?
Um, no, other than the shipping challenges, I think that's the biggest thing to being out in Hawaii with the additional cost for the freight. Hard to compete with some of the big box stores
Yeah.
because they're able to mark it down so much, and I think they don't have to worry about the freight as much as a smaller retailer like us.
No, it makes sense. How about, we hear obviously a lot about, talent retention and recruitment, things like that. Is that also, a challenge where you are?
Yeah, it is definitely a challenge. I'm not sure if it's more of a challenge here than it is anywhere else, but yeah, I would say that that's probably one of the biggest challenges that we've had over the years. Keeping the good people. Ever since COVID and everything, a lot of people
Yeah.
are paying more, and construction companies and warehouses, they're paying quite a bit more that we can't unfortunately compete with that. So that's, I think, the biggest struggle that we have.
You mentioned COVID. Did that, now obviously, the world shuts down. Did that impact, was the impact still heavy for Hawaii?
Yeah, it was, and I think this would probably be consistent with most other dealers. So there was a period where we were very slow,
Mhm.
maybe the first 2 or 3 weeks, but Hawaii was pretty much shut down, where they weren't allowing people to come in for a period of time. I can't remember how long it was, but while this is happening, a lot of the vacation rentals,
Right.
the owners who are living in the mainland, are realizing, hey, we're not going to have anybody coming in maybe for, who knows, 6, 8 months. So the remodel that we've been thinking about, maybe now's the time to do it. So the contractors were extremely busy. Of course, that led to us being busy, and I think that's kind of similar to what a lot of the other retailers were experiencing too.
Yeah.
So it was slow, and then it just ramped up, and warehouse issues where we're having problems storing everybody's stuff. Some of the projects were delayed, and kind of similar to the issues that we're having now due to fires.
Right. Right. Well,
Yeah.
it's almost, I feel like you don't want to say those aside right now, but how is business, today?
Right now it's a little bit slower than the previous couple years. I think that's pretty consistent, but we are seeing some new things happening due to all of the homes that were lost. They're putting up
Yeah.
new temporary developments that I think we're going to be a part of, and we're trying our best to do. But as far as the challenges, of course, that we're seeing is there were projects that were in the middle of it where they might have lost their homes, so
Right.
now the product is stuck here, and we're not gonna give them. We have special order policies where they're non-refundable, but we're not gonna stick with that if they lost their
Right.
home, right? So we're being real flexible about that. But there's project delays, so there's
Mm.
additional products that are just kind of sitting in our warehouse that are getting backed up, and
Right.
that's been kind of the biggest challenge that we've seen as a result of the fires, is just
Well,
backed up warehouses and overflow.
well, walk us through these past few weeks, because I mean, it's, everyone. I think unless you were under some rock somewhere, hadn't heard about the wildfires in Hawaii. So, I mean, you being there, just walk us through what those weeks were like while it was going on. How, what was it like running the business, all that sort of stuff. Kind of let you
Yeah,
take the
well,
floor.
yeah, it was real dramatic and mentally exhausting. It was just traumatic just to see everything that's happening. Of course, everyone sees it on social media, but as time progressed, we start hearing more and more from friends and family, from
Yeah.
customers who had firsthand experience of seeing some things, and a lot of it was pretty graphic. And but as far as from the business side, we were trying the best that we could do to try to help out in one way or another. if people needed, additional refrigeration because maybe they were staying with a friend.
Right.
We were trying to connect with a lot of our vendors, and we're fortunate that Simmons Serta helped us out by donating about 100 beds.
Wow.
Protect a Bed also donated about 100 mattress covers. So we were kind of just distributing these to the families that were in need. That maybe a lot of families were just taking in additional people, and they might not have had adequate places to sleep. They're sleeping on garage floors. So
Right.
I think everybody, and that's kind of consistent with the entire community, that they were just
Right.
trying to help out in one way or another, whatever whatever things that you can do to help, and just leverage your partners and just try to help out. But there were so much things that were happening, and I think that was just natural for us to try to reach out and see what we could do,
Yeah.
if we could do anything,
What so for someone that not familiar, set the kind of the perspective of where was your business ever at risk of being caught up in the wildfire? Like, how far away is Hamai's from what was going on?
Our store was pretty safe. There are two fires that night. So a lot of people don't know that there was Lahaina fires and there were also Kula fires.
Mm-hmm.
I live in Kula, and also my cousin Kili'i lives in Kula, and we were both forced to evacuate. So that night, I came down here with my family and my dad and my mom, and we actually slept at the store. So we have I don't know, 12 mattresses that are set up in our showroom floor, and we also were helping out another family friend. So that was another 4 people. So all of us came down to sleep at the store. We got showers, we got electricity, so that was fine. But luckily the store is safe from harm's way. It's pretty far from where the fires were, and but our homes were pretty close. So the fire got within about a mile of where my house was. But luckily, our homes were safe.
And obviously, I think too, people watching the coverage, you hear a lot about, and you mentioned it, the community aspect. Talk about just what that means to you guys, and sort of the driving force of that behind everything you've been doing.
Yeah, well, it was pretty amazing to see. I mean, as tragic as everything was, but I think most people would say the coolest thing, the most beautiful thing that happened out of all of this is just to see how fast the community kind of just stood up and just, no one is even thinking about anything. They're just reaching out. I mean, people were driving boats around the fire area to drop off supplies. Neighboring islands were driving boats over and just rallying up whatever supplies that you had that you could help. People were trying to make an effort just to see whatever they could do. That was really nice to see. And it's still continuing. A lot of the local chefs are preparing food. And everyone is just really just shifting gears to try to help out the community. It's really nice.
Yeah, and I mean, no bigger effort, I don't think, than to shut one store down for a period of time too. So I know you guys did that for an event this week as we're sitting here recording this week. But talk about that event and what that was like. I know we had some of the nationwide team was there to help support, but just talk about how that came together and what that was like for you.
Sure. Yeah. So that was a packing event that was pretty much orchestrated by No Child Hungry. It was probably like 2 or 3 days after the fires. William Lowry reached out to me, and he was kind of talking over everything that happened, and really he just wanted to see how he could help in one way or another. So we're kind of just brainstorming a little bit, and he was telling me that they were in the middle of sending 250,000 meals directly to Maui, and I think that was just about to be en route.
Yeah.
So that was really cool to see that, how fast they were able to act on that. But because of the influx of food that was coming into the island, he wanted to do something a little bit different. And it seemed like having more of like essential goods would have been a little bit more proper. So yeah, so that event, Mike Whitaker, William Lowry, Tom Hickman was there, and a lot of the other nationwide guys were there too. So that was really nice to see that they were so supportive and trying to put together this event. But we ended up packing 3 different kits, which was a combination of little snacks, foods. Another one was like an essential kit, and another one was like your toothbrushes, deodorants, wipes, sanitizing wipes, and things like that. So it was 3 different kits, and a total of about 4,500 kits were put together, which they were able to distribute. But we also were able to pack about, I want to say it was about 8,000 meals, the same type of meals that we were doing over at the nationwide shows. So to to have everybody kind of come in and do that together was really nice. And we had support from a Boy Scout troop from Makawao on Maui. That was actually my old Boy Scout troop.
Wow.
I know the Scoutmaster, so he was happy to help out with that. And then we had some youth sports groups helping out too. So it was the Kamehameha basketball team, and a lot of family friends came in. And we also had help from the LDS churches, Church of Latter-day Saints. They came in, and we had a ton of people helping out. So just to see everyone just so eager to help out, and it was really nice.
It's kind of like a microcosm of what's been happening down there, I have to imagine.
Yeah.
Just seeing all that take place.
Yeah. So, it felt good to be able to put something together and just to see that people were very, very responsive and willing to help.
Yeah. So what other, I mean, that's happening now. What other things, you kind of mentioned a couple of things that you've been doing and some of the immediate things, but like what other efforts are underway?
Well, for us, we don't have anything set in stone, but the latest that we're trying to put together, a pretty well-known local chef here. He's been making so many things together with the community and a lot of cooking events and things like that. He wanted to do something at Hamai Appliance. He was born and raised in Kula, like myself and my cousin. So we wanted to do something special for the Kula families that were displaced and lost their homes. So kind of in a nutshell, I mean, we were thinking about doing like a live cooking event at one of our live displays, and inviting some of the Kula families and just have like a little private type of an event, little live music, some nice food, and just make them feel a little special. So
just something to get the mind off of everything. I imagine.
Yeah. We thought it would be a nice fun event for them, and hopefully we can put that together. But that's something we're thinking about maybe in November. So hopefully that'll come through.
It's awesome. And it's neat to see the pictures too. I mean, you could tell everyone that was down there was, whether they were from the community, from the Nationwide, the No Child Hunger team. I mean, everyone, those events always have a special meaning, and we see it when we're at prime time and things like that. But I can imagine getting to do it sort of, in an area where it's needed, like on site, essentially. Had to, the faces, they're bright smiling faces despite everything. So just cool to see that. I think from our perspective too, it's something that's needed, but it's got takes that sort of feel good vibe to a whole nother level while you're doing it. So it was cool to see.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So I kind of interested, like, are you guys right now with business? Is it a business as usual? Like, how are you approaching things right now at retail? As part of Hamai Appliance, like, is it? You can't ignore it, right? Because everything's going on and it's going to be going on. But, how do you get back to that? Or are you trying to get back to that, business as usual approach?
Sure. Yeah. For the most part, I would say it's, we try to say it's business as usual, but, as we're mindful of this, and we can kind of tell certain families, they're buying things for a certain need, and we try to fact find a little bit more. And if it turns out to be a situation where if they lost their home or they're in a temporary place with a family member or whatnot, we try our best to help out with further discounts, one way or another. A lot of people who took delivery of appliances maybe within the past year are now coming back in to get a replacement. And we know, we're like, hey, you were just here.
Right.
So we try our best, help them out with maybe their extended warranty that they already bought or whatnot. But just one way or another, we'll try to find a discount, whether it's a free delivery or a discount on the product.
Oh, that's I mean, tremendous. To sort of see how you guys have not only like handled the situation, but continue to operate through it and make an impact in that community, right? So it's been around for what, 53 years? Is that right? If I'm doing my math right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yep.
54 years. So, it's a community staple, and one that, we're excited to have part of the Nationwide family as well. So, Brian, we appreciate you taking the time and sort of sharing a little bit about your story, but, our thoughts continue to be with you down there. And I know we'll continue to see some efforts, from the Nationwide side. I'm sure the No Child Hungry side as well. So, we appreciate it, and appreciate you taking the time, man.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, and thank you to the Nationwide group for everything that you did. No Child Hungry, William and Mike Whitaker were terrific, and we couldn't have done it without them. So we're very appreciative of that, and thank you for thinking of us.
Yeah, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, we'll see you soon. Thanks, Rob.
All right, and thanks again to Brian. I said it at the top, but just a humbling, interview for me as a podcaster and someone that is doing some incredible work, out there for his community and of course his business as well. So appreciate Bryant, giving us the opportunity, having the time to come on the podcast and talk about everything that's been going on and their efforts to give back, but also to just spare some of that time with us and share his story and details of what it's been like to try to run a business and all this. So we really appreciate it. And of course, as always, appreciate you listening to the Independent Thinking Podcast, and we'll catch you next time.